what if someone in security says, hey, we got this guy, he won, and then they come there and they arrest him and the money gets frozen? Then what happens? In the old days, you didn't care because you would just go and claim it. Now, all of a sudden, it's a big deal. There was a time period when, that was fine. I mean, you were undocumented a person and you won the lottery, and like the real big one from California that one year was someone that you know they won. They lived in an area where there were a lot of migrants living there. They waited till the last moment, and I think they did it with the California lottery being involved with it, so that they could sell the house, waited till school was out, and had the money put in the account and left the country likely at that time. You know, there was no state of California tax, there was just federal tax, so California didn't care. So the federal tax got withheld 30%, and the person just left the country. And, think about how much money, you know, 30, 40, $50 million could be in Mexico as opposed to the United States. That's, you're a king over there with that kind of money. So it used to be easier for people. Now I think people are a little bit more concerned. I think if you're living in an area where it's close to the lottery office, that's fine. But if you have to drive someplace, like we've had some people that have won near the border in San Antonio, Texas, recently, people driving from San Antonio, Texas to Austin, that's about 8-hour drive, I think. And, a lot of things can happen in a car, 8 hours. And who's driving them there? What if they get stopped? What if they have to show identification? They don't have any. Will someone say, oh, I understand you're going to the lottery office, then you're going to go home. That's great. No, they're going to, in today's day and age, they could easily be taken into custody. And I think that's scary for a lot of people.
One person who reached out to me who said that they were undocumented, but they always play. And they said, hey, if I win the lottery before somebody gets to me, I'm wondering whether I should have my neighbor claim it and make an arrangement with them.
You don't want to give it to a neighbor because, the neighbor could be in the middle of a divorce. You don't know, and that could affect it. I've had those questions. I've talked to people like that. And unfortunately, they have a tendency to really stall. They don't want to do anything. And like I've talked to some people that have crossed over. They cross over daily and work and then go back. And the border people know who they are. And the border people bring them in and let them go every single time. And the question is, how do you get there? Well, it would be nice if they had some type of picture ID, and there are IDs for people that are coming across the border, or they have a passport from Mexico. Get your passport, and you have a passport, and you can get a TIN number real quick from the IRS. So that's all you need to do, and you can open up a bank account. So you can open a bank account with the passport and the TIN number. It's just that they have to do that, and they're afraid to do it. They need someone that they trust to help them with it. And unfortunately, being an attorney from Florida, it's not something that they can come to my office and talk to me about. They can't communicate because, the language barrier. So it's very difficult for them. So I think they need to feel comfortable with the right person to come talk to for that. But I've gotten those calls all the time.
Right. And just taking a step back, I think it's just kind of heightened with everything going on because you can play the lottery even if you're like from somewhere else, like from China, and you come over here, or you can do that. I think there's just an extra tax you pay. So how about for those people who are wondering that?
No, the only difference is that you would pay the same state tax no matter what, because you buy a ticket in a state that has a state tax, you're going to pay that. Instead of them withholding 24% for federal purposes, they withhold 30%. And you still owe the other 7%, but you have to file the tax return for that. Just like you have to file the tax return for the other 13%. So what they're concerned about is people leaving the country after they win, because there's no reason for them to be here at that point in time. So they take 30%. They should probably take more than they should take the whole 37%. That would make it easier for everyone. But they just take out 30%. So that's all that happens. The problem is that these people don't have bank accounts because it's so hard to get a bank account today. So, but you need to have one. you can get an identification number. That's something that you can do as an alien, and you can there's a like in Texas, there was a list of like 20 items that you could have because I had this phone call not too long ago where someone was asking, "What do I need?" I sent them a picture of 20 items. If you have any one of these things and an identification number, you can claim. The problem is that what happens how do they get from someplace like San Antonio to Austin to say, "Okay, I'm here to claim?" And what if someone in security has a friend that says, "Hey, we got this guy, he won," and then they come there and they arrest them and the money gets frozen. Then what happens? There's no guarantees of that.
Hmm.
In the old days, you didn't care because you would just go and claim it. Now, all of a sudden, it's a big deal.
So what do you recommend they do?
Well, I have talked to some people about that, and is there someone in the family that they could trust that can either claim this for them? And it really depends on the dollar amounts. If someone wins $1 million, they can always gift that to someone without any major problems, as long as they have somewhat control over them. But I just tell people, hey, bottom line is get your passport. Get that. Take a day to go get that, or get your there's also a picture ID for people that are coming across the border and back and forth. You can get that. So take a day to get that, and then we can get you an identification number. Then we just have to get you from that location to to that office. Obviously, Florida, people from Miami, it's about 12 hours up to Tallahassee. Leaving San Antonio to go to Austin, about 8 to 10 hours. So that's the key. We don't know how they're gonna get there. They can't take public transportation. They have to go with someone. Maybe they know someone in the family that knows someone in law enforcement that can drive them. So that way, if they get stopped for any reason, law enforcement could say, "Hey, I'm doing this for Mr. So and so," to help them with the process.
On July 2nd, 2008, an $85 million Powerball jackpot was won in Oklahoma, and it was claimed by an entity called the Zorro Trust, the same name of a trust created by Jeffrey Epstein linked to his ranch in New Mexico. I went into the Department of Justice archive and pulled every Epstein file tied to his lottery purchases, how often he played, how much he spent, and who he bought tickets for. What I found was deeper than I expected.